joining me now to break down some early best bets for the upcoming week of college football and to recap the weekend that was is our guy Brad Powers coming off a 3-2 week. Brad, how you making out today?
Hey, doing well, Joe. Looking forward to finish the season strong here. Only a couple weeks left of the regular season.
Indeed, let's go. Okay, yeah, so some big storylines out of the weekend. Alabama goes down to Oklahoma despite outgaining them by almost 200 yards. Texas is cooked, so we're going to get into those. But outside of those stories, what are your biggest takeaways out of the weekend?
Yeah, I do want to mention Oklahoma. Basically, not besides the game, and we did have a best bet on them, but they probably
Yeah.
shouldn't have won the game. But I think big picture for them, they stole a playoff bid most likely. They weren't going to get to the playoffs because they were, a touchdown underdog in that game. Now winning that game outright and favored in their final two home games against Missouri and LSU. Oklahoma getting a playoff bid has got to be the number one takeaway. A&M, let's stay in the SEC. Trailing 30-3 at halftime. Looks like a complete no-show. Okay, that's fine. They can afford a loss in today's day and age in college football. No, they rally back. They're plus 725 on the money line at halftime. They win the game. It could have been. They actually left some points on the field. They were inside the 10 looking to score more in the final couple minutes, and they fumbled. So, honestly, I mean, look, I'm not saying I upgraded A&M's power rating, but I actually think higher of A&M. I think they have a higher ceiling after that performance to do what they did in one half of football. Great job. That's what championship teams do. They don't roll over and die. So kudos for A&M for that one. ACC, it's been a muddy mess all year. It's becoming clear. It really comes down to this. If Georgia Tech and Virginia win one game as a favorite, that's all that's left on their schedules in the ACC play. They will meet up against one another in the ACC championship game.
Hell yeah. Okay, so when the rankings come out later this week, what changes do you predict that we'll see specifically in the top four?
Yeah, I mean it'll be Ohio State, Indiana, A&M be your top three. Georgia, I think, moves to four, even though they lost to Alabama. I mean, you got to be impressed with Georgia to say the least. Their fourth quarter performance against Texas and winning that game with margin when the market was against them. I think Georgia's safely in four, even though Georgia likely not even to make the SEC championship game at this point. What I'm looking at and I'm interested on Tuesday night is how is Oklahoma, Notre Dame, and Alabama going to be ranked? Because I'm here to tell you, Joe, the team that's last in that lineup is not a surefire thing to make the playoff. They're going to need a little bit of help, believe it or not, even though the playoff odds aren't priced that way. Whoever's the final team in that lineup is going to need, the things to play out accordingly for them to make the playoffs.
Okay, so the playoff picture, maybe, I don't know, a little bit more clear. We got a couple games to go here, but taking a look at this market, I love odds to make the playoff. What plus money bets stand out to you there?
So you've probably been waiting for this all season, Joe. I'm like, I really didn't make a bet here. There's a lot of games to play. I mean, anything can play out, but I got four for you here. Two to make
Let's
it,
go.
two not to make it.
Ooh.
Plus money bets. Let's talk James Madison plus 250. I think we're down to two as far as the group of five. It's likely to be North Texas and them, James Madison. And I got to be honest with you, the way James Madison's crushing opponents right now, their profile, probably shouldn't have them plus 250 with North Texas being minus 114 to make the playoffs. So I think there's a little bit of value there on James Madison, who will be a clear cut favorite in their remaining three games. I can't say that for North Texas in their championship game. Another team, I just mentioned them. I think it's going to be Georgia Tech and Virginia in the ACC championship game. Winners going to the playoff. Virginia's plus 290 right now to make it the playoffs. They're not going to be that big of an underdog in the ACC championship game. 3 points at most and probably less than that. So Virginia plus 290 to make the playoffs, showing some value. And two bets that I made today, believe it or not. Ole Miss, no, 13-1. They got one game left. They're going to be favored against Mississippi State, but they're only going to be about a 7 to 9 point favorite in that game. That doesn't equate to minus 3,500 on the money line. That's more like minus 350 on the money line. So I think if Ole Miss loses, they're out. Notre Dame, I mentioned it. They're going to need a little bit of help. I think the committee likes them, but again, they're going to need a lot of scenarios to play out. So no on Notre Dame 14-1 is also a bet I made.
Okay, let's talk Heisman now. If all things are equal, the answer would be no. But at plus 550 odds, is Marcel Reed a good bet to win the Heisman at this point? A couple games to go. Now, we know he's got that Mendoza or saying ahead of him. But, you can build a solid case for this guy if he finishes the season strong, especially statistically. He's on an A&M team that's undefeated, first in the SEC. What do you make of that bet? Plus 550
Oh,
odds.
I agree with you, Joe. I would have him above Mendoza. The problem is
Ooh.
the Heisman voters don't, and a lot of them. It seemed to me, if you look at some of the internal polling, and there's that article that gets published each week, behind the scenes, who would you vote? And Mendoza's like a runaway favorite at this point. They pulled like 25 Heisman voters, and he's got like 23 first place votes. So I just think a lot have made up their mind. So as far as Marcel Reed, I think it's an okay bet. He's obviously behind not only Mendoza, but also Julian Sang. And I think the winner in the Big Ten championship game is going to go a long ways. But if he has a big game against Texas and a standalone Friday night game the day after Thanksgiving and a big game against the SEC, he'll be relatively live, in my opinion.
Let's go. Okay, let's talk Texas. They get absolutely stomped in the second half there against Georgia. Their season looks cooked here, 7-3. Even a lot of their wins here recently, really close, one score wins. So not the season that was expected out of them. You know, they were favored to win the national championship. You seen Arch was up top of the odds board to win the Heisman, to be drafted number one in the NFL draft. That's not going to be the case here. You think we're going to see any major changes there? And do you think Arch is guaranteed to be back as QB1 for them next season?
I think everything's on the table. Starting with their head coach Sark. A couple weeks ago, there's whispers about him being interested in the NFL. I think those are actually legitimate. And look, if you don't believe those whispers, I like to do reading the tea leaves in one market that a lot of people don't like to look at, because I think it's a leading indicator market. How are you doing in recruiting? Are they the 16, 17, 18-year-old kids buying into what you're saying? Texas right now, recruiting class number 8. Maybe that doesn't sound too bad. Oh, number 8, that's good. Actually, it'd be their worst in 5 years. It'd be the worst since Sark's first season when he's behind the 8 ball and only he's got a month or two to build a class. So to me, there could be some legitimacy to Sark maybe leaving, and if he leaves, obviously the whole program, the portal, and everything it becomes in flux. So I don't think it's a surefire thing that Texas, with so much stability, they've had the same head coach, OC, and DC for the last 5 years. They're the only team in the country that could say that.
Okay, Brad, it's now time to get into some best bets. We got two for today. Let's start with Hawaii +3 at UNLV. Why do you like Hawaii to cover that number?
I like it for three reasons. Number one, I like the spot for Hawaii. They're off a bye. They're catching UNLV off an overtime game playing on a short week. So, advantageous spot for Hawaii. Number two, I like it because I think Hawaii is the slightly better team and not getting a lot of love this year, because they weren't even projected to make a bowl game. Their season win total is 5.5. UNLV's coming off their best 2 year performance in school history. So, I think we're still got some of them priors baked into this. So Hawaii, the better team, catching 3. And then finally, hidden home field. Believe it or not, I went to this game 3 different times when I was in Vegas. I think Hawaii will have 40 to 50% of the crowd. That's what they had in the 3 meetings that I saw when I was there. The people on the islands, they like to call it Las Vegas. This is in the weeds. The ninth island, they'll travel very well here. So some hidden home field advantage. They'll have a lot of fans in the stands.
Okay, next up, we got Georgia Tech favored by 2.5, hosting Pittsburgh. Big implications in this one, and you like Georgia Tech.
I do. Call me square, and maybe I am. I mean, especially with the best bet record this year, Joe. But this one's simple for me. Must win for both. But obviously for Georgia Tech, win and they're in the ACC championship game. I think they're the slightly better team. They're at home. They have the much more experienced and better quarterback in Haynes King. And for me, they have the much better coaching staff in this one. I know Georgia Tech almost lost last week, but I think they're feeling good about themselves from that big fourth quarter rally against Boston College. I don't know where Pitt's mind is. They had college game day there. They retired Aaron Donald's jersey, had everything there. I know Narduzzi said the game didn't mean anything. Well, they played like it. They got boat raced by Notre Dame. And so I think psychologically, I just question where this team is. I know where Georgia Tech is. That they'll take care of business. Let's lay the 2.5, Joe.
Okay, there you have it. In and out just like that. Great spot today, Brad. Thank you as always for joining. Of course, you will be right back with us on Thursday to add a couple more best bets and to get into all the big games of the weekend. So best of luck with your handicapping this week, and we'll catch you on Thursday.
Thanks for having me.